Thank you very much, my Honorable Chair. Yeah. Thank you, my Honorable Chair, as well as the esteemed members of panelists and all distinguished guests. My chair has alluded to some of the legislation that we at the Department of Social Development have come up with and have confirmed. And as a result, all our services that we offer and we render are based on legislation and policies. I won't talk too much on that, but I will also mention the fact that in terms of gender-based violence, what we have since realized in South Africa is that our cultural as well as social norms are the causal factors of this violence and crime against women and children. But given this escalation of the scourge of violence in our country, our government then established an Inter-Ministerial committee in 2012, which then in turn also came up and developed an okay, which one? Okay, and then they developed a strategy, a POA that seeks to address this violence against women and children. The POA had a life expectancy of 5 years, which was 2013 to 2018. And when it came to the time for it to be reviewed, it was the time when actually there came a presidential summit in 2018 in November, wherein it was decided that the POA must not be reviewed, but rather we must come up with a national strategy. So the Gender-Based Violence Command Center that I'll be talking to forms part of the 3 pillars of the POA, and those 3 pillars are articulated in terms of protection and prevention, response, and care and support. So the Gender-Based Violence Command Center forms part of the 2nd pillar, which is response. This is why the summit had to decide on concentrating on the national strategic plan, because it discovered that there were gaps in terms of the POA that was in place. Hence, we are busy with developing that POA, and it is in progress. And then in terms of the Gender-Based Violence Command Center, the operations are such that it is a national call center which operates 24/7, and it has 2 12-hour shifts starting from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening, and the second shift is 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning. And it is manned by professional social workers. So they are always there to attend to the calls that come through from victims of violence and crime. And those social workers, what they do on receiving that call, they would then offer, be it trauma debriefing, be it counseling, be it psychosocial support, telephonically. And when there is a need for a person who requires more sessions of whatever the service that she had requested for, then the social worker is able to refer that case to our field social workers, to our NGOs, and to our partner stakeholders. The center, it has a way of geolocating where the person is calling from. As a result, we are able to send SAPS should they require SAPS, South African Police Service, at that point in time. We have here, it is a process mapping. And as you can see, the frontliners will be social workers. And what will happen after receiving the call, they will be able to know as to whether to send, to refer the case to those departments that have been indicated there. The Department of Social Services, the NPA, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, the Department of Health, the SAPS. And those are the services that they render, as I have indicated in the presentation. But should they need to be assisted immediately, they would then be removed through the South African Police to the shelters, to the Khuseleka centers, one-stop centers, or even to the White Door centers. We have stakeholder partnership, and we partnered with Vodacom, which actually, as we are going to be demonstrating a little bit of how this whole thing is being done, you will see the important role that was played by Vodacom. We also have many other stakeholders that assist us in addressing this scourge. This is the call center statistics. We started operating in November 2013, and as you can see, the number of calls were very minimal and low. But as we speak at this point, at least there is some kind of impact that you can see taking place, and some kind of numbers of calls coming through that are escalating. And then these are the type of cases that we usually get. It's both non-GPV, it's both GPV, which is gender-based violence kind of cases, and by virtue of us being professional social workers, we also take care of other non-GPV related cases. These are our achievements in terms of the center. We received those achievements simply because of the best practice model in terms of our technology. And by so saying, I will then ask my other colleague to just come and demonstrate quickly on how we render this service at the Gender-Based Violence Command Center. I thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Romano, and I am the Gender-Based Violence Call Center Manager, and I'm responsible for the technical aspect. Therefore, I will be taking you through the presentation just to explain exactly how the system works that we are using at the Gender-Based Violence Command Center. So in South Africa, the population is estimated at more than 58 million. And the Gender-Based Violence Command Center provides a service to the whole country, and it is a 30-seater. The solution components of the Gender-Based Violence Command Center comprise of innovative technologies. Firstly, it is the command center. The second component is the location-based services. And the last component is the mobile application for field social workers. So the first component, the center provides 24/7 telephonic counseling and is manned by qualified social workers. The second component is that of the location-based services, where we are able to locate callers geographically locate callers, and to determine their closest resources depending on the service that they require. And the last component is that of the mobile application for field social workers, which allows us to, after we have provided immediate telephonic counseling, to refer the case to someone on the field. Should the victim require face-to-face counseling, then we can send through all the information that was captured at the center to the field social worker to continue with her intervention. And once that is done, they feed back to the center, and we are able to close off the case and ensure that the victim was assisted before the case can then go through to customer satisfaction. So the advantages of this system allows us for strategic reporting on trends in specific areas, as well as also indicating to the Department of Social Development for the demand of social workers in certain areas. So like we mentioned, the center, you can phone into the center, you can request that you be phoned back. You can also SMS, and we also have a Skype facility for those that are hard of hearing and would like to communicate using South African Sign Language. So that is just the system that we are using. I'll just quickly run through it. That's the CCIS, the Command Center Information System. So everyone has a unique login, just so that whatever interventions the social worker puts in, we are able to see who assisted the victim. So that is the dashboard. When a call comes through, the number is automatically pulled through onto the system, and it locates where the caller is calling from. So in the event where the victim didn't know where they were when they were calling for assistance, we are also able to refine the location, whereby we can see on a map where the person who's phoning is located, and we can, with your help of certain landmarks such as a school, we can be able to drag and drop the flag and set the location before we request for other services such as the police stations, the police, or any other services you might require. So we basically capture all details of the victim, especially more importantly, when the victim can be contacted, because with GBV cases, we need to be mindful that a victim might call in to get assistance, and perhaps you cannot contact them at any time. So all those fields then are important and are captured by the social worker agents to make sure that when we do follow-ups, it does not endanger the victim. So that is the Assign tab, where we are able to send through cases to different services, as well as the social worker tab that I said. So that's where it would list all the social workers according to distance, and you are able to then send through the ticket to a specific social worker based on the located address, and they are able to then get assistance. So there I just had, the final slide is just a case study of one of the cases that we received. My colleague over here mentioned that we deal with many different types of cases at the center, whether it's gender-based violence related or non-GBV cases. So this one specifically was a human trafficking case that we received at the center. And the caller was a 21-year-old sex worker from the DRC. She phoned into the center and mentioned that she had managed to escape and was at a nearby filling station. And the center was then able to also locate her, as well as then call the South African Police Service to be able to go and assist her. So the police then went to go and collect her from the police station, and she was taken to the victim-friendly room at the police station, where she was able to then give a statement and a case number. Everything was generated, and she was given counseling. And when we phoned to do a follow-up, which is part of the process flows for the center, she was placed in a shelter, and the shelter mentioned that they would be able to accommodate her for 3 months before she would then be able to find another place where she could stay. She mentioned that she will find a place where she will be safe, and she was grateful for all the assistance that the center provided her with, even when she thought, things were hopeless, but we were able to assist her with the technology that we have at the GBV Command Center. So this is just one of many cases that we deal with, and I think it's really amazing that technology can actually be used to better the lives of our people. Thank you.